Now on the CTV News at 5, G7 summit meetings are underway in the Canadian Rockies. Plus, how you'll be able to visit many Canadian landmarks and national parks cheaper or even for free through the new Canada Strong Pass. And a multi-billion-dollar coal trial begins in a Calgary courtroom.
Telling your stories. CTV News Lethbridge with Jackie Scantlebury.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. Prime Minister Mark Carney officially kicked off the G7 summit here in Alberta. CTV's Mike LeCouture has the day's developments.
U.S. President Donald Trump says a deal with Canada is achievable soon, but just how he and Prime Minister Mark Carney will get to a resolution remains unclear.
Our primary focus will be trade and trade with Canada, and I'm sure we can work something out. Yeah.
But it's unclear which path the two countries will agree on.
I've always been a tariff. It's simple, it's easy, it's precise, and it just goes very quickly. And I think Mark has a more complex idea, but also very good.
The meeting lasted for more than an hour and focused on trade negotiations and advancing the security relationship between the two countries.
The important thing is that we collectively think we're making progress in coming to a deal that would be in the economic interest of both countries, but we're not there yet, and that's why we reconvened after the meeting with the President and the Prime Minister, and we agreed to reconvene before the end of this week again.
While those bilateral negotiations continue, Prime Minister Mark Carney kicked off the G7 meeting, calling for unity at a time when he says the world is more divided and dangerous.
We're gathering at one of those turning points in history. I think we all recognize that turning point where the world looks to this table for leadership.
But it's already proving difficult, with Trump again suggesting Russia be included around this table. And he falsely claimed Justin Trudeau was prime minister in 2014 when Russia was booted from the G8, when in fact it was Stephen Harper.
The G7 used to be the G8. Barack Obama and a person named Trudeau didn't want to have Russia in. And I would say that was a mistake, because I think you wouldn't have a war right now if you had Russia in.
The war in Ukraine will be part of the discussion on global peace and security, which is scheduled for this evening, as will the talks around the escalating violence in the Middle East. Mike LeCouture, CTV News, Kananaskis, Alberta.
Meanwhile, the federal government has announced its new Canada Strong Pass to provide Canadians and visitors with free entry into national parks this summer. The feds say it's all in an effort to unite the country, while the business communities in both Waterton Lakes and Banff National Parks are excited to welcome more travelers. There are concerns. Carson Marsouk reports.
Coming off the busiest weekend in June on record, Waterton's Bayshore Inn and Suites is preparing for a busy summer season.
We always want all Canadians to visit, enjoy, and see their national parks.
But Canada's national parks are about to get much busier after the federal government announced its Canada Strong Pass Monday.
From June 20th to September 2nd, the pass will offer expanded access to Canada's nature and culture. This includes free admission for everyone to our beautiful national parks, historic sites, and marine conservation areas.
Discounts for students for Via Rail and into museums will also be included. With more than 540,000 visitors through Waterton Lakes in 2024, the second busiest on record, the free entry has sparked some concerns.
There's a fine line between showing off our national parks and over-tourism.
He says 2017 marked the busiest year for Waterton Lakes when admission was free for Canada's 150th birthday.
We just don't want over-tourism, because when you have too many people, it can destroy this beautiful ecosystem, this beautiful place that we have. And we also want everyone that comes to this beautiful park to have an amazing experience.
The mayor of Banff says systems need to be in place to help facilitate free entry. 4.2 million people visited Banff last year.
We hope that this is a way for the federal and provincial governments to come together and look at how we can better serve Canadians coming to our national park. And for us, that means mass transit.
Parks Canada says efforts to raise awareness of trip planning, promoting shorter season and less sensitive areas of the park, and managing crowd sizes are ongoing. Carson Marsouk, CTV News, Lethbridge.
The Canada Strong Pass does not have to be applied for or displayed. You can just show up and enjoy. If you already do have a pass, though, it will be extended for an additional 3 months. A disciplinary hearing has found Lethbridge Police Chief Shaheen Medizadeh not guilty of discreditable conduct. Medizadeh was accused of violating COVID-19 public health orders in 2021. The presiding officer found none of the allegations had been proven on a balance of probabilities. The decision acknowledged the chief unintentionally broke public health rules at the time, but the breach did not warrant any discipline. In 2021, Medizadeh went for lunch with the LPS chaplain, which broke cohort rules at the time. Medizadeh was not aware he had broken any rules and apologized to LPS leadership when he was told. A Lethbridge man sentenced to 15 years behind bars for drugging and sexually assaulting at least 4 women has taken his case to Alberta's Court of Appeal. No word when a decision on 39-year-old Sohail Bindra's appeal will be handed down, though. A legal showdown began in a Calgary courtroom this morning between 4 coal companies and the Alberta government. The companies, Cabin Ridge Holdings and Cabin Ridge Project, Attrim Coal and its subsidiary Elan Coal, Black Eagle Mining and Montum, now called Evolve Power, are suing the province for billions in lost compensation. In 2020, the province opened up coal development in the eastern slopes of the Rocky Mountains, but reversed course in 2022 after public backlash and legal challenges. Now, during those 2 years, the coal companies began exploration work, built roads, and established hundreds of drill sites. The companies also say the change resulted in a de facto expropriation of their coal assets, meaning they lost future potential coal profits. Legal action by Northback Holdings will be heard separately. Altogether, the 5 companies are seeking over $15 billion in damages. The allegations have not yet been proven in court. Lethbridge's firefighters were able to contain a fire to the basement of a Northside home Friday evening. When crews arrived at the home in the 900 block of 41st Avenue North, they found light smoke coming from the basement. Crews were able to contain it to the area where it started. No one was injured, and damage is estimated at $150,000. The cause of the blaze remains under investigation. All right, Gina Martin has the forecast for us today. And Gina, mostly sunny during the week, but we are looking at more precipitation towards the weekend.
Yeah, a good amount of precipitation too, which will certainly help with the dry conditions that we will experience throughout the week here. As Jackie mentioned, a lot of sunshine today, tomorrow, even by midweek there. Yeah, there could be the occasional pop-up shower here and there, but looking pretty static for the most part over the next couple of days. Very calm winds, as you saw on our one model there. We have mainly sunny conditions heading into the evening as well, sitting at 25 degrees. We'll hold on to that temperature for the next couple of hours before we start to cool off overnight to a low of about 8 degrees. So that'll be nice and refreshing after a warm day. Then back up into some heat tomorrow. 28 degrees for your high, mainly sunny with the winds out of the west at 20 kilometers an hour.
All right. Thank you, Gina. A group of 20 people from Lethbridge will be taking part in a workshop to find new ways of addressing public safety. The workshop is part of Micro Research Canada. The group will be made up of Lethbridge Polytechnic employees and community members. Micro Research first began in Africa and has since expanded to Canada. The group will learn the fundamentals of research development, design, and implementation. The goal is to build local research capacity for addressing local issues.
We wanted an institution that was not highfalutin, okay, where we know everything. Because micro-research is about democratizing and decolonizing community-focused research, which means we need people who really understand community, want to work with community, and that's exactly what Lethbridge Polytech does.
The workshop starts on Wednesday and it will run for 2 weeks. A Lethbridge Polytechnic student has once again been recognized on the national stage. Plumber apprentice Kyler Bloomberg won silver at the Skills Canada competition. Bloomberg is in his 3rd year at the Polytechnic. He picked up the silver medal at last year's Skills Canada as well. Bloomberg has the chance to pick up even more hardware. He'll represent Canada at World Skills because the Canadian gold medalist doesn't meet age requirements. World Skills will be held in September 2026 in Shanghai, China. Still to come on the CTV News at 5, Gina is back with the 5-day forecast right after this break. Plus, we've got reaction to the Alberta government's announcement late Friday. It would begin charging most Albertans for the COVID-19 vaccine.
Skycam is facing south here, showing a nice amount of blue sky. We'll continue to have that clearing throughout the evening here, aiming for a high of 26 degrees. Right now, we're sitting at about 25 here in Calgary, or excuse me, Lethbridge. Calgary's at 24 right now, but we are seeing many areas here in southern Alberta in the mid-20s for the most part. It was a very calm day out there. We didn't see too much wind. We were just really able to enjoy a nice spring day, and summer is just around the corner. When we look coast to coast here, a lot of places dealing with nice seasonal conditions today, comfortable temperatures, not a lot of disruption in the forecast. We will start to see a change in our weather pattern a little later this week. In fact, it'll line up pretty closely with that first day of summer, but really tomorrow's looking excellent as well. Up to 28 degrees for Lethbridge, 29 in Medicine Hat, 27 if you're joining us in Brooks. So summer already here for many places. But of course, when we get more of that heat and when we think about this time of year, obviously instability in the afternoon is fairly common. Today's not looking too bad out there. We do have some watches and warnings along the border there with BC, but really nothing in the south here to be concerned about. And that should hold steady really throughout the next couple of days. We will be cushioned by a ridge of high pressure just eking along the U.S. border there. That will include us. But what I'm keeping an eye on is what's happening over on the Pacific Ocean. We have two low pressure systems, this swirl here and this swirl there, that could work together later this week and by the weekend produce a lot of rain as it tracks inland. In fact, you can see on our upper air pattern here, it's already showing it as one united system. But really, for the next couple of days, like I mentioned, pretty calm, pretty quiet. We just get that favorable ridge of high pressure again heading into Tuesday and Wednesday. But by Thursday, you can start to see this low starts to track into mainland BC, and then it'll really start to move in as we get into late Friday. We've got this low up here too, so they're really convening right over Alberta. So we're expecting a lot of rain starting late Friday evening for the Lethbridge area. And then it's really going to pick momentum as we get into Saturday. But for the next couple of days here, again, Lethbridge looking really nice. We could have some thunderstorm activity in the East Kootenay tonight, dropping down to 10 degrees, up to 26 tomorrow with a chance of some scattered showers in the afternoon. For the Crow's Nest Pass, down to 10 tonight, and then up to 25 tomorrow with some westerly winds at 20 to 40 kilometers an hour. Lots of sunshine, though, a beautiful day ahead. For Medicine Hat, tonight pretty calm out there, cloudy conditions, maybe a couple of isolated showers, dropping down to 12 degrees and then picking up to 28 tomorrow. Later in the afternoon, you're far east enough in the province, you might see a little bit of instability later in the day. But like I mentioned for Lethbridge, sunshine tomorrow, Wednesday, right into Thursday as well. So really that first day of summer on Friday, we start to see the transition to cooler and wetter weather by the weekend.
Measles cases continue to increase exponentially, with Alberta's total count now over 900. 53 new cases of the highly infectious and preventable disease were confirmed this weekend. Once again, the vast majority of those 35 cases are in the South Health Zone, where we now have a total of 647 since the outbreak started. Infectious disease experts say 2 doses of the MMR vaccine provides the best protection. The vaccination is free. Many Albertans will no longer be eligible to get COVID-19 vaccines for free, and they'll have to pay about $110 per dose. The province says for high-risk groups, including seniors and communal living and people with underlying health conditions, COVID shots will still be free, but all other Albertans, including healthcare workers, will have to pay, with no word yet on whether health insurance will cover the cost. And you will only be able to get the shot at public health clinics. The province says about half of the vaccines it ordered last year were wasted at a cost of $135 million.
I can tell you we could probably end up eliminating the knee and hip replacement surgical wait list with $135 million that got flushed down the drain last year. We're watching what Albertans are doing, and what we're seeing is that Albertans increasingly are choosing not to take this vaccine. It was only 3.3% last year.
The province also points to the United States, which recently stopped recommending COVID vaccines for pregnant women and healthy children. The Health Sciences Association of Alberta represents 30,000 healthcare workers, and the Alberta Nurses Union is calling on the UCP government to reverse course and provide free COVID-19 vaccines to all frontline workers and Albertans who want the shot.
I think as well that there's been a lot of misinformation and distrust around the COVID vaccine. And in some ways, this government has actually fed into that. And I think by no longer funding the vaccine, they're sending this message that it isn't important and indeed that vaccines in general perhaps aren't as crucial as people need to understand that they are.
The province says starting August 11th, eligible Albertans will be able to pre-order COVID-19 and flu shots through the Alberta vaccine booking system. Still ahead on the CTV News at 5, we catch up on the action at the Canadian Grand Prix next in sports. Another busy weekend around the WCBL, but how did Southern Alberta teams make out? On Sunday, Lethbridge Bulls wrapped up a 4-game series with the Fort McMurray Giants with a 3-1 loss. Bulls were looking to win the series, but have to settle for a split. Medicine Hat Mavericks were battered by the Regina Red Sox, losing an 11-1 blowout. Brooks Bombers kept it close, but couldn't keep pace with the Sylvan Lake Gulls, losing 9-7. The first players on Canada's men's Olympic hockey team were named today for the Games in Italy next year, including a former Brooks Bandit on the roster. No surprise, superstar Connor McDavid is on the list and will be making his Olympic debut. Two-time gold medalist Sidney Crosby will also be on the roster, along with 4 others from Canada's Four Nations team: Sam Reinhart, Nathan McKinnon, Cale Makar, and Braden Point. This will be the first time in 12 years NHL players will compete in the Olympics. British racing driver George Russell is the Canadian Grand Prix champion.
9th consecutive Canadian Grand Prix winner from the front row of the grid, a 4th different winner in 2025 for George Russell in his victory in the Canadian Grand Prix.
It marks the first win of the season for Mercedes-Benz and the 4th win of Russell's career. Red Bull's Max Verstappen came in second. The final laps in Montreal were run with the safety car on the track after the 2 McLarens collided. Montreal's Lance Stroll finished 17th, last place among the drivers that finished the race. A first for the Montreal Grand Prix this weekend as well. An all-female roster from the F1 Academy hit the tracks. Matt Garillo reports.
Sporting her maple leaf helmet, Canadian Nicole Havrda hits the track. She's one of 18 drivers in what's called the Formula One Academy, an all-female racing series in its 3rd season.
It feels quite cool. Like the crowd and just like on Instagram, like how many people are like taking pictures and then posting and saying like, hey, we're watching you, and it's just so cool.
It's the first time F1 Academy comes to Montreal, and the racing series has big goals, not only to grow the sport, but to get a woman driver on the F1 starting grid. No easy task, says the Academy.
If you want to achieve that, you need to bring more young girls into karting first, and then more to single-seater and F4.
It's all about growing the talent pool, because it can be a long way to the top in motorsport.
It's easy to put someone in F3, to put a female driver in F3, but for her to be in the top 10 will make the difference. So we need to train them as much as we can, give them as much track time as we can, so they can progress and then be competitive when they get out of here.
And no doubt, these racers have big dreams and are already planning their next steps when they leave the academy.
That's why there is the F1 Academy, to get another woman towards Formula One. It's definitely the goal, is like the pinnacle of racing, which is Formula One.
The cars look a whole lot like F1 cars, especially as they speed around the track.
To have the girls racing this year, that's what they've been missing. That I was excited to see yesterday.
For little girls that want to drive, it's very good.
The Academy doesn't race at every F1 stop, but Montreal was chosen specifically.
We hope that being here this year will just show girls, like, get more in karting, more in F4.
And this won't be the last year. The F1 Academy agreed to a 3-year deal to keep racing in Montreal through 2028. Matt Grillo, CTV News.
IndyCar driver Joseph Newgarden walked away after a terrifying crash at a race outside of St. Louis, Missouri.
And you're a passenger as a driver at that moment.
Oh, dear. Oh, no.
It started when driver Lewis Foster spun into the wall and shot across the track into Joseph Newgarden's path. Newgarden's car launched into the air before landing on its roof and then skidded for a considerable distance. Newgarden radioed his team that he was fine and he walked away from that crash. The NBA Finals resume tonight in Oklahoma City as the Thunder host the Indiana Pacers in Game 5 in the best-of-7 series.
Gilgeous-Alexander hits a three. Clutch bomb from SGA.
The Thunder tied up the series at 2 wins apiece with a 111-104 win in Game 4. Hamilton, Ontario's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander led the way with 35 points. Tip-off tonight is 6:30. Still ahead on the CTV News at 5, the twin Alberta brothers following their passion for helping animals. Edmonton is home to one of the only animal hospitals in Western Canada that specializes in treating exotic pets. CTV's Connor Hogg has more.
All right, we're going to do the same thing, this time with the scope.
It's a busy morning at Harvest Point Animal Hospital.
Looks pretty good, eh?
Patients undergoing operations that range from routine to urgent.
Will, I'm just going to get you to hit the...
Take a look at the medical staff, and you may see double.
We do have good chemistry, just because, 23 years together.
William and Wyatt Britnell grew up surrounded by exotic pets. Geckos, birds, a tortoise, among others. Their sister is allergic to cat and dog hair. When they brought in a ferret with an ear infection to Harvest Point, it led to volunteer work, then getting hired on, and now assisting in complex operations.
Mammary tumor removal on a mouse, which was about that big.
Experiences leading the Britnells to their calling. This year, they graduate from the University of Alberta with Bachelor's of Science degrees. After that, it's on to veterinary school.
When we're at the clinic, we're like, I feel like, yeah, this is where I need to be.
The brothers aware of how lucky they are to know what they want to do and to have a best friend to do it with.
You always have someone, I guess, to watch your back. Like even like going to a new class, right, or a new school, new job, volunteer opportunities. We've kind of done it all together.
I mean, it's better going into things you're double than alone, right?
The brothers plan on going into practice together in Edmonton when they're done school. 2 new veterinarians in the area, good news for pet owners. Canada's Veterinary Medical Association says the industry is facing a national workforce shortage.
Before we discovered this place, we were like, we'd open up our own exotic clinic. But since working here, it'd be pretty incredible to come back and work here.
Whether it's their own clinic or coming back here, it's a goal achievable by working together.
When you see those successful surgeries and invasive procedures and things, and you see those animals recovering, it is very rewarding to see.
A shared passion for helping those who need specialized attention. Connor Hogg, CTV News, Edmonton.
Thank you for sharing this time with us. Now here's the early edition of the CTV National News.